Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children. I welcome you all to our online teaching academy Ekalaiva. This is class 12 biology. In our last video, we started with our new lesson organism and populations. In that video, we saw about the level of organization acting in our ecosystem. Okay? And in this video, we are going to discuss about important abiotic factors which are helping the survival of organisms on this earth. That is, the abiotic factors which are supporting our biotic components of our earth. Okay. So, when you see this, okay, these are the different biotic and abiotic components. Already you know that biotic components are the living organisms present on our earth. Okay, it includes plants, animals, fungi, bacteria and even other microorganisms, okay, like protozoans and all. Okay, all those things, okay, they come under this living components, that is biotic components, and all these biotic components, for their survival they depend on some important abiotic factors without which the survival of the organism is very difficult. Okay, some important abiotic factors which are supporting the life, when you see, it is water, sunlight, soil, air and temperature. Okay, so these two things somewhat it is okay, related to each another. So these are the important abiotic factors which are responsible for the survival of these organisms. Okay, and in this video we are going to discuss about the role or impact of these important abiotic factors. So these are the four things what we are going to discuss, that is water, soil, sunlight and temperature. Okay, and these four factors we can call them as a limiting factor. Okay, why they are called as limiting factor? When you see, okay, these limiting factor limit the amount of organism that live in that particular ecosystem. Okay, so it is responsible for the ecological balance. Okay, it is limiting the number of organism, that is population, okay, which is in that particular environment, in that particular part of our ecosystem. So we can call all these factors as a limiting factor. So now we will see how these limiting factors are having their role in our ecosystem. The first one what we are going to discuss is temperature. Okay, so you all know that temperature on land varies seasonally. Okay, you know about the seasonal variation of temperature. Okay, so it is decreases progressively from the equator towards the poles. Okay, so how it is, you all know, okay, already in your what is it, geography you have learnt about this. So this is actually, this is a place where we are having our equator. Okay, so when you see this equator, okay, so they are, the perpendicular rays are reaching this surface of our earth, so there will be a maximum heating, whereas near the poles when you see, okay, they are receiving the rays, okay, at a very low angle, so there will be a very minimum heat energy received. Okay, this is how the temperature, okay, that is, it is varying from the equator to the poles, and in the same way this temperature will support different organisms and the different population in these areas. Okay, so diverse forms of life, diversity of life is more in the places which comes, okay, in that particular area of that equator, as it is receiving more sources of sunlight. Okay, you know sunlight is the ultimate source of all the forms of energy. Okay, so this is how it varies from the equator to the poles and from the plains to the mountain tops, altitudes. Okay, then it ranges from sub-zero levels in polar areas, you know, okay, it is going in minus degrees, the temperature very low, okay, whereas in high altitudes it is greater than 50 degree Celsius. This is how the temperature varies from place to place. Okay, and we have some unique places where the temperature exceeds even 1000 degrees Celsius. Okay, there very adverse forms of life will be present which can adapt to that higher temperature. Okay, example, thermal springs and deep hydrothermal vents. Okay, we have learnt about some bacteria, group of bacteria called archaebacteria. Okay, those archaebacteria, they have the ability to tolerate this higher temperature. So in these zones, okay, these bacteria will be present. Okay, this is how the temperature varies on our earth, okay, from place to place. Okay, so this temperature, how it is affecting, how it is having an impact on the living organisms, when you see, it affects the kinetic energy of the enzymes. Of course, you know various metabolic processes going inside the body of a living organisms, and all those metabolic processes, okay, they involve so much of enzymes, and those enzymes, okay, this temperature is acting as a very important limiting factor. Okay, so this increase or decrease in the temperature affect the enzymes. In turn, it affects the metabolic activity and physiological functions of the organism, so that it decides the survival of that particular organism in that area. Okay, here the repeatedly asked 1 mark question, okay, it can be asked as a part of 2 mark question or a 3 mark question. Okay, so something called stenothermal and eurythermal animals. Okay, so there are two kinds of animal. When you consider this temperature as a limiting factor, two different types of animals we are having, that is stenothermal animal and eurythermal animals. What are these eurythermal animals? When you see, the animals which can withstand wide range of temperature. Okay, even when there is a wide changes in the temperature, those animals can survive in that particular condition. So those kinds of animal, we are calling it as a eurythermal animal, and I have given some examples for eurythermal animal. This question would be given in your textbook. You can take down these examples. Okay. Then stenothermal animals, when you see, the one which live within 20 degrees Celsius, in the sense they cannot survive under wide ranges in the, that is changes in the temperature. Okay. They confine only to the narrow range of temperature. So the organisms or animals which can confine to that narrow range of temperature, we are calling them as a stenothermal animals, and these are the given examples for stenothermal animals. Please note it down. So this is about the different kinds of animals, okay, which adapt to the differences in the temperature. Okay. The next one we are going to, so this is about temperature. The next limiting factor is water, and you know what is the importance of water in the survival of the organisms. Okay. So life on earth is originated in water, and it is unsustainable without water. Okay, because water is an important raw material used by the plants for the process of photosynthesis, from where we are getting our energy source. Okay. So for aquatic organisms, the quality, that is the quality of water, in the sense we are talking about the chemical composition of water, pH of water, okay, all these things acting as a limiting factor, which is supporting and preventing the survival of the organisms. Okay. So important factors, when you are talking about water, what are the important factors, okay, we are looking for? When you see, it is the first one, clarity of water. Okay, that decides the particular group of organism which can survive, which can adapt to that particular condition. Okay, water ecosystem. Then salt content of the water. Okay, here also you will be getting one question, I will tell you later. And the depth, because as you are going deep into the water, different zones will be there, and they will get different range of sunlight. So according to that, the organisms also, the diversity of the organisms also changes, both plants as well as animals. Okay. Then speed of the water waves. Okay, if it is of a running water, okay, the speed also it is accountable here. So when you talk about the speed, okay, suppose if it is of a running water, the plants and animals which are confined to that particular part of the ecosystem, that okay, it might be of a river, lake or anything. Okay, so what is the special adaptation they are having there? When you see the plants in streams, okay, they used to have a dissected dissected in the sense the leaf itself will be having some cuts. So as the water is flowing, okay, it will not affect that leaves, okay, and they will be, and some plants will be having a long thread like leaves, ribbon leaves, so which is helping them to adapt to that fast flowing water flow, okay. Then animals, when you see animals in the streams, they are a good swimmers, okay, strong swimmers. So along with that water current, they have the ability to swim. So these are the adaptation which is helping the organism to survive in that particular condition, okay. And we will see about this salt concentration of water. I told you this is very important thing which is supporting the plants as well as animals. So the salt concentration, it is measured as salinity, okay, and it is measured as PPT, okay. What is that PPT? When you see, it is part per thousand, that is a unit what they are using for measuring this salinity, okay. It is less than 5 in inland water and 30 to 35 in the sea water, and in some hypersaline lagoons and all, it is going greater than 100, okay. So according to that, the plants, okay, that particular population living in that area, they have some adaptation in that body to overcome the variation in the salinity. And here also, there we saw about eurythermal and stenothermal animals, and here also we are having again in the same way two different kinds, that is eury-align organisms and steno-align organisms, two things. So what is that eury-align? When you see organism that can tolerate wide range of salinity, even there is a changes, okay, differences in the salt concentration of water, they adapt, they use some mechanisms to adapt that variation in the condition. Whereas, okay, these are the examples, okay, take it down. And steno-align animals, when you see organisms that can't tolerate wide range, in the sense which are confined only to the narrow range of salinity, okay, those kinds of organisms we are calling them as a steno-align organisms, okay. So this is about the salinity. And the next factor, so we completed water and temperature. The next one is our light, okay. So when you talk again this light, okay, sunlight, okay, sunlight is acting as ultimate source, and that light energy only it is converted into chemical energy by the plant in the process of photosynthesis, and on that energy only we people are depending, not only we, all the animals, okay. So plant communities adapt to different light intensities. According to that dependence, we can categorize them into two groups, that is heliophytes and Xiophytes. What is it, heliophytes? When you see, they are sun loving, they need high intensity of sunlight, okay. Whereas Xiophytes plants, when you see, they are shade tolerant, okay. There will be a large canopies in forest and all, so there will be, okay, the plants are there under that shade only, so no problem, under that shade itself, whatever the intensity of light they are getting, sunlight they are getting, with that they will do all their mechanisms. So they are called as shade tolerant or Xiophytes. And many species of small plants growing in forests, they adapted to photosynthesis optimally under very low light. I told you about Xiophytes. So according to that, they are available only with that much intensity of sunlight. So they have some adaptation to use at very low intensity of light, okay. So now when you talk about sunlight, these are the three important factors what we have to see, okay. That is, the first one is quality of sunlight, okay. I told you how it varies between heliophytes and Xiophytes. Then light intensity, then light duration, and each and every factor, okay, it is having it impact in the different process of that plant life. So when you talk about light quality, okay, it is having its important role in flower induction, okay, seed germination. Actually this is seed germination, okay, seed germination and the movement in the plants, okay. You know that phototrophism, geotrophism and all, okay, all those things, it depends on that light quality. Then the next one, when you are talking about light intensity, it plays an important role in plant growth and reproduction. Then light duration, of course. Okay, duration, you have what is that, long term duration plant, short term duration plant, all those things. So it is very essential for flowering and fruiting in plants. So this is how these factors are having impact in the plant growth of plant, okay, when you talk about light. Okay, then when you take animals, okay, on the basis of how these animals are using this light, we can classify them into 5 groups. Okay, that is diurnal animals. Diurnal animals in the sense the animals which are active only during daytime. So at night time they will go and sleep. We are the example. Okay, then nocturnal animal, when you see, this is the first one. Then the second one is nocturnal animal which are active at night and sleep during daytime. Okay, the example is given here. Okay, so these are the first 2 types. What are the other 3 when you see? The third type is called as auroral animals, the animals which are active only at dawn, okay, early morning. Okay, and the vesperal animals which are active only at a dusk, late evening. Okay, then crepuscular in the sense, okay, which are active during dawn as well as dusk. Okay, but they will go for the rest during complete daytime and night time. Okay, so this is about based on the range in which they are using light for their life processes, we are classifying them into this 5 groups. Okay, so this is about the impact of light on our animals. And important thing, spectral quality of light. You know about the spectrum of light and all, and you have learnt about that complete spectrum in your physics. Okay, so this spectral quality also, it is very important for supporting the life. See, the UV component, okay, you know that it is harmful for us. Okay, it is acting as a mutagenic agent, so it is harmful for us, but other spectrum of that light, white light, it is used as an important component in the plants especially. One example is given, the algae, okay, which are there in deep seas and ocean. Okay, they will be present in different layers based on the spectrum of light which is reaching that particular depth. Okay, this question is given in your textbook. See, please note down this. The green algae always, it will be present in the upper zones of seawater because that upper zone is receiving that particular spectrum of light which is supporting our green algae. So we have another algae, brown algae and red algae and all. Brown algae, mostly it will be present in the middle zone of our seas and ocean because again, okay, the same spectral quality of light which is reaching that particular zone. Then red algae, okay, always it will be in deep zones as it is supported by that particular spectrum of our light. Okay, so this is how light is having its role in supporting the organisms. The last one what we are going to discuss is our soil. Okay, so soil, okay, it is very essential because again, of course, it is supporting the growth of plants. Okay, so the percolation and water holding capacity, it is very important for the healthy growth of the plant. Okay, it depends on 3 factors of a soil, that is soil composition, mineral content and all will be there. So soil composition, then grain size, okay, individual grains of that soil, what is the size, okay, it actually determines the water holding capacity. Okay, then aggregation of the grains to form that soil. All these are the important factors, okay, what you have to consider when you are taking the soil as a limiting factor. Okay, in addition to that, we have to check for the pH of the soil, mineral composition and topography. Okay, the shapes of that landforms, okay, which is determining the vegetation in the sense the plants which has to grow in that particular area, and this is also in turn, okay, deciding the type of animals which has to be present in that particular area. This is how soil is having its role. It is not that, okay, only the landforms are having the soil as a limiting factor. Even in water bodies, we have a layer called as benthic layer. Okay, that is the sediment layer, the bottom layer of the water bodies. Okay, they will have some amount of soil, which we are calling it as a benthic layer, and this benthic layer also, according to all these factors, it is also supporting some plants and animals, which we are calling them as a benthic animal. So this is how these four factors, they are acting as a limiting factors, that is temperature, water, soil, okay, then sunlight. Okay, children. So to receive our online classes, please press subscribe button so that you will receive our latest updates. Thank you, children.